What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the KCM. We're getting into game number 1. We're fresh off of a Protoss victory in our last week, so we're getting started here. If the audio sounds a little bit weird, just know that it's going to be fixed after game number 1. If I fixed it in post, then just disregard this message. Right now, the audio is only coming through one ear. It's the right ear. Do you hear it, Shun?
I hear it too. It's like some kind of weird ASMR where he's like talking in my ear, telling me about Starcraft. I'm not sure if I like it or not. This could be a good thing.
Just whispering to you in Korean, letting you know that action is in the top left and YSC is in the bottom left. We're on Dominator, the new version, I believe. And actually, did you see the Artosis video about this next season of the SSL?
Yes.
Oh, very good in-depth video talking about the SSL and also about all the new maps and their changes. And he noticed some things that I didn't notice, and he actually didn't notice some things that we noticed about this map, which is kind of funny. There's some more buildable terrain on this map. You want to tell people about it, Shun?
Yeah, so basically before you couldn't build very far on this pizza slice leading into your natural expansion. They've kind of widened that a little bit, so you can build some missile turrets out onto this pizza slice to make it easier to shuffle over to your mineral-only expansion or the gas expansion as Terran, for example. So there's way more building space than there used to be on this pizza slice leading into your natural expansion, I think is the most significant change.
Yeah, that's gonna change the way that Terran players push by quite a lot. We'll talk about the other maps as they come up. There's been quite a few changes that we didn't mention in week number 1 of this season when we actually talked about the maps. For now, we've got YSC. The lineup looking very familiar here, Shun. YSC and Tyson are back. And I guess, I mean, why not bring them out? They managed to get a win last week. Maybe they can make it happen again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they can. They've definitely been punching above their weight as of late. We've got a Gateway first going up against an Overpool, and a Pylon Block on the natural is actually going to force Action to expand already to that gas to the right-hand side. So already disrupting the placement of Action's hatcheries. He's going to probably force 6 lings as a response and has to respect this quite heavily because having a hatchery so far away does make it a little bit more complicated dealing with the initial Zealot pressure.
Yeah, it's a little tough. It's not the end of the world for a strong Zerg player, mechanically gifted as Action is. He's going to be able to handle the fact that this is a little bit awkward. It does slow down things like your drones transferring over to your natural in the early game. That can be a pretty painful consequence, but hold on to that thought. We've got Lings here in the front. He's gonna get the surround. Oh, okay, he actually runs by rather than surrounding that Zealot. I really thought he was gonna go for the kill on that, Shun.
Yeah, this is interesting. He was trying to set up a surround, but he actually was baiting a run by, it seems. Wants to put a lot of pressure by task switching from the main base and his macro to force the run around, both chasing the Lings while also putting some pressure onto these probes. I don't know if he's going to be getting gas, but he actually has stopped. It looked like he stopped mining gas for a second there. I'm not sure if he's decided what he wants to do. Action's only mining gas with like 1 drone or something. I think he might have gotten Ling speed on the way and is just trickling in some gas. Maybe these speed Lings in the main base could cause absolute mayhem soon as more and more Lings start to come out as well. We also could see a bit of a pincer run by as there's no cannon on the way in the natural expansion. These 3 Lings might come back up into the natural to help these other Lings get inside.
Yeah, it looks like Action did go for that gas. Sorry, for that speed. It makes a lot of sense here. He could go after the pylon. He's definitely going to be able to prevent a cannon. There's a cannon coming up inside the main, but he's going to surround this Zealot over here, and Action may end up getting a very quick win in game number 1. He's got so much pressure going on. He's brought these Zealots back, but they're going to get surrounded real quick. More reinforcements coming up here. Just going to go after the pylon now, running past all these probes. He doesn't want to get caught. If he gets caught on the ramp surrounded by the probes and Zealots, he could end up losing these Lings very, very quickly, but as long as he keeps running around here and utilizing that speed, it should be almost impossible for YSC to fully defend this. He's definitely going to have to, he's he's gonna end up taking some damage almost no matter what. More probes are being targeted down as the Zealot gets surrounded. More Lings coming up here as well. There's no third hatchery, so really Action needs to make this work, and he's killing off all of these Zealots. There's only one left, and it's very low. The probes are doing a good job of helping out here, but now that the Zealots are gone, they're going to be targeted down super quickly. Tons of probes have fallen, and the natural is going to go, Shun.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has got this cannon in the main base, so the game's technically not over, but this is all but over for YSC, unfortunately, in game number 1. He tried to pull even dancing with the Zerglings. He forces the GG. Wow, Action really strong in punishing this greedy play from YSC. Like, a lot of Protoss players have been doing this lately, where they kind of skip making their cannon, trying to get their tech and economy online just a little bit earlier to put some pressure onto Zerg in that early mid game. And it's a good job to just respond to that by doing these Ling stabs to punish. And I think that Action were very smart to go for that play here.
Excellent. The music is now fixed. I do have to cross off YSC's name though, so go ahead, Shun, introduce the players.
Okay, we got spawning in the bottom left, none other than Action, who's currently off the press with a nice win. And his opponent in the top left is going to be Sark as the navy blue Protoss, who honestly is probably one of our most aggressive Terrans, but hasn't really had the most strongest of showings in KCM as of late. Has kind of bungled a few of his winning conditions, like we saw on that same map Dominator last time, where he bunker rushed the Nexus and wasn't able to kill the Nexus, but instead trying to get into the main base and then lost the bunker and couldn't even kill the Nexus as a result, and pretty much throwing almost one game, about a 90% win chance down the drain. Hopefully he can find a better showing against Action this time around, and he's starting off with an 8 racks.
Yeah, that was a very rough throw. Really a disappointing showing there. And so we'll see if he can get some more damage and not overcommit with this 8 racks. So far, Action is saving up his money, and he's going to be opening with a 12 hatchery. So the stars are aligning for Sark, as they did in that game previously, what we were talking about. Hopefully he doesn't overcommit. That's just my main worry.
Yeah. He does tend to tunnel vision on his aggression, right, which is the main concern here. He is a little bit of a hot-headed, stubborn kind of guy. Once he gets an idea in his head, he kind of goes for it, and unfortunately that does tend to lose him a lot of games, even if it is making him a strong, aggressive player. He scouts it first as well, does Action, and optimizes the lair timing by throwing down the pool and the gas more or less simultaneously. Oh, he's cancelling the gas. Oh, because now that I thought it was very strange that he was actually going for that gas knowing that it's an 8 racks. Usually you don't even try to take your gas when you scout the 8 racks. So I was very confused why he still wanted to optimize lair timing against this, because he has to pull a bare minimum of like 3 to 5 drones to delay this, up to a maximum of 8 if it's scouted late. So we see a very small response initially, just 3 drones to kind of keep the SCV from starting the bunker right away, and then a few additional drones coming off to meet them, and then these 3 and 4 drones will start to wrap around the bio and cut off their path of retreat while they try to meet up with this 3rd Marine here.
This gets really scary once the 3rd Marine is there with 2 SCVs body blocking. It's very difficult to engage with this little group of units without losing everything immediately. He's going to pull that drone back just barely in time. Double bunker starts. Is it going to be pulling SCVs as well? Looks like just with the 2 SCVs back at home, he's going to rally the Marines across the map. These drones will have to catch the Marines as they come across. Oh, the drones are going to come from the side here. Oh, he gets on top. He kills one of the Marines. He's going to jump onto the bunker now with all of the Lings. Can he block the Marines from jumping out and getting into the other bunker? 2 more Marines come up. He's going to jump into the other bunker. He loses 2 of the Marines. Now there's 1 more Marine. He jumps inside. Oh my goodness, he didn't block that 2nd Marine from getting in the bunker, but he kills everything, and he barely lost any drones.
Yeah, this is pretty optimal from Action. Sark's not technically dead, but this is probably one of the better case scenarios you can get as Zerg without just straight up winning the game. So he's feeling very confident about that. You could even lose up to 2 drones and still be even with the Terran. Both of the tech timings have been reduced about a minute for each player respectively. So both players will still take some time in getting things going. You can see Action's lair going to be starting at around 4 minutes of 04. That's about, you know, a minute slower than an eco lair. So yeah, about a minute slower for both players on the tech. But unfortunately, Sark is taking the worst end of the stick here, since he didn't really kill anything with this attack and invested so many minerals.
Luckily for him, he has this very nice wall. I'm pretty impressed with the wall in from Sok. That's such a tiny little gap. To try and force Lings through there would be suicidal. So it allows him to get in and out of his base pretty smoothly. With that one marine size gap, but Lings trying to run by here are not going to fare very well. So Sok has a nice setup in the front. That's going to allow him a bit of greed. It's going to allow him to, you know, pause on this barracks now and then, try to slip out as many SCVs as he can, and try to get himself back into a reasonable economic position.
Yeah, I mean, Sark should be able to put himself into an okay game here. He's by no means out of it, but this is definitely making Action feel very comfortable here. He's throwing down a macro hatchery, maybe playing like a 2.5 hatch style, because your gas timings are so much slower with this. It's usually optimal to go for that macro hatchery to kind of smooth out the edges of the early game shenanigans.
Yeah, definitely a good idea to get that extra macro hatchery going. We haven't seen a drone head out on the map just yet for third base. He's got definitely enough drones to saturate that natural and get the money required to throw down that third. We'll just see when he decides to go for that. This push out has been delayed a lot for Sok. It looks like it's going to be a full minute slow. And in fact, he actually went for an eBay right off the bat. So he went right into an attack upgrade. And so he's not even going to really move out here, I think. He's threatening the move out. He's got the extra, he's got the medic out. He's going to be prepared with enough Marines to kind of start to push forward, but he won't have range and stim by the time mutas are out. That's just not a possibility. He's likely just going to stay here at home and wait for those upgrades to finish, because he really can't afford to lose this bio ball.
Yeah, he knows that the Spire is about to pop. He just wants to make sure there's at least some Sunkens being thrown down. He doesn't want to let, like, Action get away with making nothing back at home. But Action actually cancels the second Sunken. He smells what Sark is up to, so he's going to be optimizing his build even further. A bunker coming down to protect the supply depots as well, and the natural expansion from Ling run-bys once the mutas are distracting the Marines in the main base. So I think this is optimal from Sark. He has to kind of invest in a lot of defenses right now, but this is also putting him more behind by making this many turrets and this many defenses. And you can see the 7 mutas already on the way. Even though the Spire is late, he's able to make 7 at the same time because of this macro hatchery to catch up.
Follow-up evolution chamber. Interesting decision from Action. It's going to be for Crazy Zerg? Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I think so.
Zerg players have been messing with some different timings here and there, but generally an early evolution chamber, it just straight up means Crazy Zerg. A drone is heading over to bottom right. He'll be taking that base soon. And yeah, with the Queen's Nest, it's almost totally confirmed now that Crazy Zerg will be on the way. Wants to get that hive out as soon as possible.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he's investing so much in this anti-muta defense that his own tech is going to be inversely quite slow relative to what Action is doing rushing into this Queen's Nest hive. So the Crazy Zerg will probably go more or less unpunished for quite some time. And even with just 2 base economy, he could still put on a lot of pressure. But he has got this ninja base coming on at the 3 o'clock here, which will give him a little bit of extra gas in the tank to keep chugging along. Put him up to 900 gas a minute will be vital in churning out as many of those Ultralisks as possible.
Absolutely. That ninja base is going to be very hard to detect and also difficult to break once sunken colonies come up on that high ground. Any high ground base like that is going to be powerful. By the way, what's the name of this? Is this Polestar that we're playing on now?
Polestar,
I believe
yeah.
that's the name.
It is.
We're getting a preview here for the SSL. How is Zerg versus Terran going to go down? Action seems to think that Crazy Zerg might be powerful for this map, and we've seen maps in the past that have come out for SSL suddenly, you know, really favoring Crazy Zerg, and it becomes just a battle between Zergs trying to get to Crazy Zerg, and trying to get their Carapace upgrades out, and Terran's just trying to find ways around that style of play.
Right, I actually think Crazy Zerg's pretty strong on this map, especially with the natural third gas. I definitely see that this could be a very potent Crazy Zerg map. Maybe wouldn't want to go for it all the time, but always actually considering trying to bait out some bio right now. If he does a good job of keeping this bio like kind of locked in, like in defensive positions, he can make more and more Zerglings and eventually bait it into an unfavorable trade where he just mops up the entire bio ball with Mutaling. This is very much how Sulky likes to play, even though he doesn't go for Crazy Zerg. He just likes to mop up on IL5 with these Mutaling stabs, and he's trying to bait the bio into an unfavorable position to set it up here. So far, Sark's not yet taken the bait, but it could still happen. Oh, he scouts the base.
He sees it. Marine sent over to center right, spots that location. Ninja base has been revealed. Really good stuff for Sak. Just sending that out. That's going to save him a lot of scans searching for that location. Lings are heading all the way down to bottom right. I think that Action must have seen like a blip on the map, a blip on his radar, and kind of missed exactly what it was. So he's looking around for like an SCV or something that might be down in that bottom right-hand corner. But it's actually the Marine in that base now. It's trying to kill a drone. Looks like it doesn't get anything, and the Marine gets taken out. It's still great information here for Sak. He sees Lings out on the map, and he sees the base and how far along it is with the saturation. A bunch of drones are being made and sent over towards that center right. Action is getting ready for this Crazy Zerg, trying to send out a little bio ball here. That's a sneaky move by Sak. He wanted to send this big bio ball down towards the natural while sneaking about 5 Marines out with 1 medic to try and assault that center right. It's not going to work out for him though. That really reduces this bio ball from Sak, and we're getting into a position where maybe Action can surround and completely wipe out this force.
Yeah, I see Mong trying to attempt that kind of play a lot. Doesn't always go the way you want it to, unfortunately. Action doing a great job of staying on top of everything and not being caught off guard. This Bible is not very strong as well. 1-1 is just finished up, but we've got 2 Sunkens on that ramp. He's going to try and bust the natural, but there's 3 Sunkens there, and we still have Lings out on the map and this Muta Force with Ultralisks popping. This is getting crazy, saying Action is going to run away with this game real soon as this armor. And he's going to clean up his bio as well, completely caught off guard. He tries to Sunken bust in the natural expansion, but there's 2 Ultras here to help these 3 Sunkens go to town. He's going to buy just a bare amount of time that he needs. That this Sunken bust won't be successful, and these 2 Marines are also going to see the bad news that there's no free damage to find at 3 o'clock as well with those Sunkens there.
Yeah, he really did think that there was nothing over there defending in center right. No dice. Action has all of his bases covered. He's ready for some Marines making their way in that direction. He's already got these Ultras out. Carapace is done. +1 Carapace, +2 is on the way, of course. And Chitinous Plating is coming up. I wonder what the timing is going to be on that +2 from Sak. You know that he finished +1 and +1 attack. Then he finished +1 armor. And he got his factory at about 7 minutes 50 this game. So it's pretty late. The +2. I wonder how late though, and is the Carapace actually going to catch up with the attack? That could be devastating for Sak.
I think so. I think his +1 weapons will finish about 1330 or something. I don't think it's going to be quick enough, and unfortunately that will spell disaster for him. Doesn't manage to get a vessel snipe here, but he's just buying time with his plated Ultralisks. But they are being gunned down with target fire from Sak. There is a chance here. There is a hope that he can maybe gun down these Sunkens individually. Maybe he can still break Action in this crazy endeavor. Somehow he's forcing drones to come off the line. More and more Sunkens morphing in as more and more Ultralisks come out the eggs as well. Somehow Sak is doing it by gunning down things with target fire. The Mutants finally come in to support this, and some Ultralisks trailing from this expansion, but Sak has seemingly done the impossible of breaking through the Sunken line, but I still don't think it's going to be enough to clear up everything.
Oh my gosh, so many drones have gone down here. Action with the desperate defense. Where were all the Lings during this fight? It seems like Action slowed down too much on his production, maybe putting out too many drones or something. I'm not sure what happened there, but He kind of dried up, only a few units popping out at that critical moment, barely able to clean. Sock almost breaks that natural, but he does kill every single drone at that base. Is that going to be enough, though? He was in a bad position before that attack. Now he's lost his entire bio ball. Is that enough to bring him back, killing all of those drones in the natural? He did lose some SCVs back at home to the mutas while that was all going on. A lot of drones are popping. It's all going to come down, I think, to these upgrades. When are they going to finish? Is Action going to stay on par with Sock? Or are we going to have a timing where Sock gets ahead in upgrades and he can initiate a big attack?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's going to be much of a window for him to work with. Because Action was doing a good job of saturating this base at the 3 o'clock, the losing of the drones is nowhere near as potent as it should be, able to replace those with a macro round, and we're still churning out a lot of minerals from that base at the 3 o'clock to compensate the lack of drones at the natural. So there's the +4 carapace timing. I think the +2 weapons is just about to finish if it hasn't already, but it's super slow. It's about on curve with the carapace. So there's no window for Sark to fight with. Unfortunately, Action is going to be on curve for the remainder of the game in terms of upgrades, and trying to shark around with these Scourge and pick off some of these vessels. If Sark's not paying attention, he will lose some of these vessels.
Oh, he just stopped paying attention there for a moment, and it is going to cost him big time. A couple of vessels go down. More Scourge are coming in. They're going to catch the vessels that are moving over towards these bioforces. More Scourge coming in, hitting all of this. The bios still pretty high in number. There's not a lot of ultras left over. These ultras are getting quite low, but you know what? As the reinforcements pop out here, the overall DPS is just not enough. Sock gets overwhelmed. He's lost so many vessels, and his entire bioforce is gone. I think this might just be lights out. Action is now pushing out on the map, shoving everything back. He's reset that bio count once again, and we do not have any further bases for Sock. He did not prepare for the late game, neither with upgrades nor with further bases and a tech transition, a mech transition, or anything like that. He's just sitting here producing a low number of Marines and science vessels and hoping for the best, that he could just break through with this next attack. If that doesn't work, it is completely over. Action is getting a 4th base down at bottom center. Once that's online, it's got to be lights out, Shun.
Yeah, unfortunately, Action's currently eclipsing Sark in supply, and this 2-base style of Sark can work. This is how Flash used to play against Crazy Zerg back in the day, but with much better mechanics, and unfortunately, Sark is just not able to fully break through any of these Action positions. So far, dotting his I's and crossing his T's is Action all game long. Has the +2 Kaiser Blade upgrade as well, so we'll be slicing through this infantry very efficiently. And with the vessel count being reduced so heavily due to him being a little bit sloppy against the Scourge of Action, that means there won't be enough utility in his arsenal to really fight this threat for much longer. There's not enough irradiates or D-matrixes to keep going, and the upgrades are still in a deficit right now for Sark. He can't trade cost efficiently at all.
I think with everything that Action's been able to pump out so far, he could bring his entire army to bear and just wipe out this bioforce in the natural of Sock, but why bother? Why take the risk of losing your entire army? He's going to sit back here and wait for Sock to cross the map before taking any sort of engagement, and I think that's the right choice. Here he comes, hitting from all angles here. The Bioforce getting flanked as Scourge come forward and start to hit all this. There are some D-Matrix coming out to try and get some longevity for these Marines, but more Lings coming forward, more Ultras completely surrounding this. Everything is going to die, aside from just these 2 vessels that are on their way back home, running away with their tail between their legs, and this is the end of the story. There's really nothing left here for Sock. The number of medics is ridiculous. That is so many. There's like 12 medics here that are going to try and run back home, but where are they running back to? There's nowhere safe on this map anymore. With Action in such a dominant position, he's going to spread himself out absolutely everywhere, take a ton of bases now, and just overwhelm Sock in the natural. Never allow him to take another base, and he will dry out here soon.
Yeah, there's just no timing for Sark to exploit. Plus 3 weapons is finishing when there's 5 armor on these Ultralisks. There's just nothing Sark can do, unfortunately. He could maybe go for some Gambit, drop play, but against someone like Action who's already got Overlord spread out on the map and pretty good scouting, you're not going to really catch him unawares with something like that. He's just trying to play straight up and try and out-trade him. He's not able to do so. Pretty good target firing this game on these Ultras, but with the Ling support wrapping around like this, it's just going to be too much for him, even though he's exploiting the doodads and body blocking with the medics is just not enough. If maybe he had a massive army of medics to do a great wall here, maybe something could be done, but unfortunately not is going to be the case. GG finally called from Sark, and that's a really well-deserved win picked up by Action.
Action's going to be taking us into this next game, spawning here in the top right versus Tyson down in bottom left. We are on Eclipse. It's one of the few maps that has undergone no changes and has been brought back into the map pool for us to enjoy. I've seen some pretty great matches here. Not the biggest fan of Eclipse overall, especially as a player, but I think there's been a long and fruitful history of pro Korean matches on Eclipse. What do you think, Shun?
Yeah. I mean, and similar to what Artosis was saying in his video, it's a very similar map to Minstrel, but maybe considered an inferior map because of the way the lanes are spread out, and it does kind of favor high mobility armies. And the argument was, why not Minstrel? Because we've seen pretty exciting games on that. I'm guessing because this map is a little bit more understood in how to abuse its geometry, and maybe the pro gamers would be a little bit more comfortable with this as the 1v1 map rather than Minstrel. We see the probe actually circumnavigating the Overlord scout here to try and trick Action into maybe thinking that this isn't going to be a forge opening or something. He's hiding the probe still. I'm curious about what this probe is. Really trying to disrupt the timing of the scout and confuse Action a little bit here. This is very strange when you see a probe this early in your main base. You're kind of wondering, okay, what's going on? Especially when he like made it go a weird path and slowed it down a little bit on purpose.
Yeah, it's just, this is a 9 pool with an extractor trick, so he's gonna start making lings right away. It's a little bit dangerous for Tyson, the way that this is open. I think he was looking to open Nexus first, and he wanted to get in there and block the natural. He was expecting Action to go for a 12 hatchery, but he is going to end up blocking the hatchery, and he's going to start the cannons back at home. This will force Action to actually kill the pylon. And so 100% these cannons finish on time, but you don't really have a choice. He's even going to let this finish, which is a dirty move, but I think it's totally okay. With only 2 lings there, you can't kill it before it finishes. With 4 lings and a drone, you actually can kill that pylon, but it's going to be able to, you know, last through its entire build time there, and it forces Action into a weird spot where he has to build his his hatchery, his natural, over at the 3rd base, and this will actually allow Tyson to cancel his other hatchery. He's seen enough here. He's seen that there's only 2 lings, and so he's able to throw down that gateway much faster, really optimizing his build nicely here. Tyson getting a little nice advantage in this early game, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say this has gone pretty well for him. He was really hoping on that 11 hatch to block it, but this still works out pretty good for him as well. I'm sure Action doesn't feel too happy about it, but when all said and done, he has got his 3 hatches on the way that hasn't been blocked for too long, and he's got his gas income coming in. So I'm sure, like, after the dust has settled, both players are probably still feeling pretty okay about the game state. I think I slightly am curious about what YSC wants to do going forward, because PvZ on this map is kind of weird. It's very tempo orientated, where the Protoss can look like they're losing all game long until like the mid-late game, and all of a sudden this push comes across that just wipes out the Zerg. It happens in a lot of PvZs on maps like this, and I'm curious if we're going to see a similar occurrence happen here too.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you're talking about. It's kind of similar to Minstrel in that way. We were talking about Minstrel earlier, but Minstrel, there's so many different lanes, and the same thing is true here. It's a little bit easier on Eclipse to actually move your army between the lanes as a Zerg player to defend these different locations, but it's still possible for the Zerg to, or for the Protoss to outmaneuver you with a more mobile army. If you're being forced to constantly unburrow and move lurkers around the map, and the Protoss is able to get ahead of you, then your lurkers have to run forward and burrow right on top of the army or in front of the army. Storms go down and things get really bad for the Zerg players. So there could be that possibility. Oh, a Citadel.
Ooh.
A Citadel back at home. We're going to see a really aggressive Zealot attack from Tyson. But this surround is amazing. Oh my gosh. He catches that with just 4 lings.
That was perfect.
That's so hard to do.
Yeah, like he just barely had the hitbox of that ling body blocking the Zealot. That was like frame perfect input to get this around. And this is going to be a little bit of a mini style, like teching right into Zealot leg enhancements off of 1 gateway. You see Mini play like this a little bit. He'll sometimes even only have like 2 gateways worth of production of Zealots and just go for this really fast, crisp timing to put some pressure on. But in this case, we see a 3rd gateway coming out of Tyson, wanting a little bit more punching power for someone of his own caliber against Action. Maybe understandable. We see the 3-hatch Spire play coming from Action. He could go into like a 5-muter cleanup squad, but that's going to be a little bit slow when dealing with something that's this fastly timed from Tyson here.
Absolutely. It's going to come into its own. It's going to become a threat, this 3 gateway attack right before the sunken colonies are, or right before the mutas are out. If there's sunken colonies, that's going to really help out. I'm not sure if Action builds those or not, though. Did he see the timing of the +1? That's usually the big reveal as to, you know, if this attack is actually coming or not. It's about 420 when you see the start of that +1, and that will really tip the hand to the Zerg player that you're going to be going for an attack like this. I've seen this work really, really well, Shun, against things like a Hydralisk bust. If the opponent is going for like 973, then you just have a ton of Zealots with speed really early on. You can absolutely smash that. But against Mutalisks, if you're not able to hit this timing right as Mutalisks are popping out and do a lot of damage, you're going to be in a big trouble. You're going to have to build so many cannons back at home, and you're going to have to go into a Dark Archon to try and deal with Mutas, because a player like Action will just not let you rest with his Mutalisk control.
No, absolutely not, Say. And he did take a long time before coming out with these Zealots, waiting for the leg enhancements to kick in before showing his true colors. But I might have just given a few extra seconds for Action to set up here. And he's already starting to clean up these Zealots. So far, so good for Action. He's kind of weathered the storm already. Has got another 3 Zealots joining up these other 2 that are split off to this 3rd base location. So 5 Zealots running into the 3rd base while these other 3 are distracting the Mutas right now. There's only 1 sunken here. So without good body blocking, he might get on top of the sunken and break it, Sam.
Oh my goodness, Action, a little bit of a mistake there, misstep. Sending those mutas all the way across the map, chasing down Zealots, rather than being here back at home. As long as he doesn't take damage right now, he's going to be in a great spot. But he's trying to get kills on these Zealots, and that actually cost him a little bit. He also canceled the evolution chamber that was blocking in this wall, and now the position is much more open. Zealots are going to easily wipe out these lings over at this base, and he's going to get on top of the sunken colony. I really feel like Action has given a lifeline over here to Tyson just by being a little bit too cavalier about chasing down these Zealots, and yeah, just not rebuilding sunkens, you know, canceling the evolution chamber there. That was a big mistake from him. Now we've got Corsairs being built, and this evolution chamber might go down. No, he is going to be able to save that, it looks like. With this many mutas, it should go down in time. The Zealots are going to be killed, and the evolution chamber does survive.
Yeah, Mike Tyson over here taking a little bit of page out of his boxing counterpart and trying to go for a little peekaboo style and trying to surprise Action by going for a highly task switching orientated Zealot pressure, switching back between the natural and 3rd over and over again, trying to find some holes in the defenses of Action and his multitasking, but not able to get the critical damage done to the infrastructure or economy of Action that he was looking for, and unable to cancel that missile attack coming online for his own Hydralisk. So now Action feeling much more confident about his position after weathering that storm.
Wait a moment, is that a 2nd Stargate down in the bottom left-hand corner behind the minimap? I think it might be. He's producing a ton of Corsairs, and he's going to come across 6 Corsairs already. This is a double Stargate switch. But there are already a lot of Hydras out for Action. He's not, you know, going up into a massive supply of drones. He's stuck on 5 hatches for a long time. Hasn't taken his 3rd gas. So he's playing kind of a low econ style, making sure that he has enough Hydras to deal with this. Really, really good stuff from Action. If he got caught with his pants down right now, and the mutas across the map, you know, not really enough defense here as he droned up heavily and got, you know, his early 6th hatchery and his 3rd gas online, he might have lost every Overlord and been in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I like this play from Action, though. He denied the mining and the natural for a little bit of time while the Corsairs were distracted trying to go for Overlords, so this does find some compensation for Action. The DT's now out on the map, going to be sharking around, looking for points of entry. The Corsairs can eventually open up by killing a few of these Overlords to help this DT slip in and cause a lot of havoc, but so far there's enough control groups of Hydras being produced underneath swarms of Overlords that he should be pretty much safe. He's even going really heavy into Hydra. Usually you make about 2 control groups worth of Hydra and then make some drones, but he's actually going up to about 3 control groups worth of Hydra before going back to droning again. So he's really respecting the threat from Tyson right now due to how many Corsairs there are in the air.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Coming in for a snipe on this Templar. He gets 1, not going to dive for the remainder. Might have been a good idea to throw these Mutalisks in, though, because Corsairs, if they ever catch this group, those mutas are going to be dead immediately. He's actually going through in towards the main, hiding these for as long as he can, but I think this is going to be revealed here soon, and he should try to get as much value out of these units as he can while he can. Looping back around, there's some lurkers being made for Action. A 4th base is on the way here at the 11-minute mark. That's right on curve for Action. What's the next move going to be coming from Tyson? Is he going to try and initiate one massive attack, or is he going to try sit back and get a 3rd base online?
Honestly, he has to do something, because investing this heavily into Corsairs and only killing a couple of Overlords is not a great enough compensation. He's invested so much gas into this air fleet that he's now dwindling in his utility on the ground, so there's not enough High Templars, there's not enough Dragoons. He's only just now starting his Robo, we have Lurkers already hatching. This is not going to be good for Tyson in a few moments here if he doesn't get his act together.
I think he was doing a great job punching back at Action and handling all of the aggression, putting on that pressure. But now he seems to be falling behind. It feels like Action is just ahead of him. A Nexus going to go up in the bottom right hand corner. Luckily he got that probe out a little bit early. Yeah. Otherwise he would have been completely stuck here in his natural with no prospects out on the map. At least he's got something going on in bottom right, so maybe he can get some cannons on that high ground and potentially transfer probes later once he has an observer out to clear this.
I mean, yeah, this isn't like a solid lurker contain. Most of the forces of Action are back at home, actually worried about this Corsair fleet going on the counter-offensive. This is just a bare minimal lurker contain. He knows that there's no observer out yet, and he's unaware of this 3rd base timing. This actually might be the saving grace for Tyson. If he gets the kill on this forge, it's going to be huge. Storm tries to protect it. It's just about to finish up any second now. He's desperately trying to pick it off, and I think he doesn't get it. He doesn't get the upgrade, unfortunately.
Yeah, that upgrade got cancelled. Here comes the mutas down towards bottom right. Finally, Action is going to spot this base by flying a bunch of mutas into these cannons. That's always a bad feeling, Shun. As a Zerg player, you see all those cannons on high ground. A couple of zealots standing there on the ramp as well. Action, he is furious. He's going to send everything he has down to this bottom right and try to break this open before this game gets out of control. He felt like he had the initiative, but if this base is able to stand, that initiative is gone. Action going to run up this ramp. Where are all the units for our Protoss player? He's got 900 minerals in the bank. I don't know if he added on enough gateways, He's having a hard time spending his money, and he's going to lose this base.
Right, yeah, I mean, this double Stargate has not played out well for him at all. He probably assumed there would be some kind of Ogre Zerg response from Action, at least a larger committal into an Air Force. and he would have to vie for air superiority. But unfortunately, no, even just one Stargate probably would have been more than enough to do what he wanted to accomplish. But unfortunately, now he's paying the price. He's trying to go on the counteroffensive. Can he get up into this 4th base location and get on top of the ramp? I don't think so. I think he's worried about a wraparound from Action. He should be worried about it as well. He's in the worst position possible right now. This is a big pincer location for the Zerg. He's going to try and get in and wedge behind this Protoss force on the southern flank and pick off Templars while also pushing on the north here. Pretty good storms to zone away the Hydras from getting a full surround. Now Tyson trying to push back into that northern flank, but it allows Action to wrap around the back yet again, and this is a perfect pincer maneuver from Action surrounding this force on all sides. He's going to cut off the head of Tyson right now.
Tyson is completely surrounded. These Hydras are going to block from behind. Absolutely wrecked. GG. He has to tap out. Action takes that game home, handling all the aggression of Tyson and jumping ahead of him in this mid game. I've seen some comments recently, Shun, saying that double Stargate play, it just doesn't work. I am starting to agree, man. It's just not working out almost ever.
At the pro level, I think it has a lot of issues, and it becomes more all in the higher the MMR of the players, I think.
It's sad that we didn't get to see Tyson go for the more normal play. I think it would have been way better had he gone for that open. If he wants to go for that opener, to go into Dark Archon after and just play a ground-based army rather than trying to do that 180 flip and switch into Corsairs. It works if the opponent thinks that they're safe and they just, rely on mutas to defend themselves and just go for a bunch of drones, but Action's too good. He just has so many Hydras out. He's very cautious. He knows he just needs to survive. He gets a massive round of Hydras to defend himself, like you said, about 3 groups. More than you would regularly need, and plays it safe. Love to see Action play like that, and we're going to jump into game number 3. Game number 4, excuse me. Game number 4 with Action versus JYJ. We're here on Deja Vu, which is another map that has had a few changes. Some buildable terrain has been changed. Is that right, Shun?
Yeah, the center of the map has been opened up quite a lot. There's now 6 patches instead of 8, so that affects Terrans a little bit when they want to take that as their 4th base and take the center. You can no longer build turrets on this ring, and that makes it a little bit more challenging. Before, you could kind of like put some turrets around there. It makes it a little bit harder. You have to kind of like leapfrog from your natural to the middle to start building turrets again. So a little bit harder to push out as Terran maybe, but you still have this access to your 3rd base, more or less the same. It shouldn't change too many things, but there's been a few changes like that, yeah. But one thing I would like to say is that JYJ is probably one of the best TVZ specialists you could hope for, and he's going for a very fast barracks, so this might be finally Action falling, but with cross map helping him out, this is unfortunate for JYJ.
That's gonna give him some extra time, gonna give Action some extra time to prepare. It'll really come down to the micro, though. The drones, can they get on top of the Marines, and how's the focus fire of JYJ in this upcoming fight? He's sending out the 2 SCVs. He's gonna find very soon that Action is over here in the top right. Action, of course, will not see this 8 Rex until the first Marine arrives. That'll be his tip off. And so, without seeing the 8 Rex coming, he is going to finish that gas. That is -1 drone here that he would otherwise have. If he had seen the 8 Rex coming, he would have been able to cancel that. So that's a little bit rough for Action. We'll see how he connects with these drones, though. That's going to be the main point.
Yeah, I mean, he does scout this early on, so that's already great for Action, that he's got a little bit of a tip off. He can get the 5 drones already blocking the bunker going down early. That's critical here. Trying to get a snipe on one of these SCVs takes it down to very low HP. 1 drone has to be evacuated. It's already down to 10 HP. Now with these only 4 drones, though, he needs to be careful. He might lose a drone here, doesn't. Really good micro pulling those back, but now JYJ is going to get this back bunker up, and then we'll start to make a forward bunker. But the SCV is already down to 5 HP. So Action wants to try and get a snipe on that, but is unable to do so. This might be a time to Sunken. I don't know. I think we might be seeing a Sunken response from Action as well as some Lings. It doesn't seem like he wants to slow this down or stop this. He's allowing the leapfrog to continue, waiting for Lings. Maybe he'll set up either a 12-Ling bust or we'll set up a Sunken to deny this from occurring.
Well, the bunker is out of range of this hatchery, so that gives Action so much more leeway in a situation like this. He's mining the gas, and I think he's waiting for 100 so that he can get Ling speed to deal with this and put the pressure back onto JYJ. Had to extractor trick out some extra Lings here. Looks like this Overlord might be under a little bit of threat. He's putting on quite a bit of damage now. He's moved a little bit too far forward, though. JYJ too close. He's flown too close to the sun. Can he actually get inside the bunker? He does get inside the bunker, but the Ling surround is very good. Ling speed finishes up, and he will be able to overwhelm and kill all of these Marines. The drone there in the back might actually be targeted. It does go down. One drone kill only, though, and JYJ has been pushed away.
I'm kind of speechless by how impressive Action is in these early game situations. We've talked about it in previous seasons of KCM, just how good Action is under pressure. He always seems to find the best behavior tree to go down. Unfortunately, these Lings won't really accomplish much as long as these SCVs are in a good position on the bottom, although there is a reasonably large gap. That's why he's got 4 SCVs there. He knows that he could target down those SCVs with 2-on-1 Ling targeting, so has to kind of respect that run-by potential. That's why you saw so many pulled off the line. Action now going around the map with those Lings and scouting for any possible hidden Marine or SCV out on the map.
Had to leave those 4 SCVs in the gap for quite a while too. There's a lot of Lings here, so really do have to take this seriously. 2 SCVs are going to be left there for the time being. With 4 Marines, it's a little bit prohibitive to dive in and try to kill these SCVs, so JYJ going to be safe for the moment. Getting to mining now. At his natural Action, going to send a drone to bottom right while getting his Spire on the way. It's going to be a pretty late Spire, but I think it's going to be, again, 1 full minute behind. Let's see if he can deal any damage with these initial mutas, and what will be the transition from JYJ.
Yeah, I mean, this hasn't gone JYJ's way, unfortunately. He's usually very adept in this matchup, but this opening definitely has spelt disaster for him going forward. He's by no means out of the game, but he's definitely behind the curve a little bit. We did see quite a large commitment into the Zerglings. That's probably the one thing that JYJ's happy about, is that there was a lot of lava that went into those Zerglings, so at least there's not crazy amounts of drones behind this, but he also inversely knows that Action could be as greedy as he want and not have to make any Sunkens, so that will compensate for the early Lings. So both Action and JYJ have something to think about and not be too angry about this game, but JYJ is definitely feeling the pressure because he did not accomplish anywhere near what he was hoping to with that push.
It appears that JYJ is doing the exact same follow-up as what SOC did. 8 racks into an early eBay with the +1 on the way, and then 3 racks follow up. Hydra Den already. Action, rather than going into another evolution chamber, he's gonna mix it up and go for a Hydra Den really quickly. What do you think this is for? Is he just going to make a bunch of lurkers and try to park them in the front?
Yeah. He's just going to lurker contain of like 2 or 3, 4 lurkers, and then you're pretty much GG after that, right? If you contain the Terran and they haven't got tanks with lurkers, you're kind of just dead. Even if you've got irradiate, you slowly irradiate those lurkers, but they'll still maintain the contain. I mean, you don't, generate infinite amounts of irradiate with only like 1 or 2 vessels, so this is going to be a little bit challenging for JYJ if he does just stay inside his base, dealing with this seemingly normal Mutalisk threat, and then there's lurkers coming behind this. This could just spell disaster, and he's wasting a lot of his scans trying to find the expansion of Action. I'm not even sure he's aware of the Hydra Den yet.
If he knows about that Hydra Den, he's going to move out pretty quickly. He would know at that point that the number of Mutalisks that could be made is going to be a little bit low, producing a bunch of Hydras plus the 200 gas it requires to make the lurker upgrade, it slows down your Mutalisk production by quite a bit, and that'll give him some time, some pressure to move out on the map. There's the Queen's Nest on the way. Action's being a little bit shy with these Mutalisks. He's not really engaging, so JYJ might start to sniff something out. Seems like just gonna make Hydras and make lurkers for the defense rather than trying to come across the map and get the containment. I think we're just gonna see like a pretty normal transition without any Mutalisk engagement here, just keeping the Mutas as a stopgap, trying to bait the Marines around the map and try to prevent them from going directly over to his natural, so he has some time to get these Mutas out, or these lurkers out, excuse me.
I mean, so far JYJ is playing pretty solid. Yeah, he's like doing everything he needs to. This is exactly how you avoid just dying to what Action's doing. He scans the natural, sees the lurker moving out onto the map. He's going to be assuming that's either moving out to try and set up a contain or moving out to like secure an expansion. So now he's probably thinking there's an expansion in the top left. That's why he's scouting up there, because he's thinking, oh, the lurker looked like it was running up there. Maybe he's trying to like secure an expansion over there. JYJ's still a little bit confused about the expansion pathing of Action right now. So he's not 100% sure where to send these bioforces. Now he's starting to head to the bottom right in the correct direction for the first time. The Lings are now starting to move over, but they are going to be surrounded by both sides on these Marines. Pretty well played from JYJ to isolate these Zerglings and shave them down to a much more manageable number. Now we'll not be able to come in and support these Mutalisks anymore, but with the 4 lurker stack in the natural expansion, Action will be sewn up pretty tightly here.
Yeah, it'll be so difficult for JYJ to break one of these bases, and he might feel like he needs to. His factory is super late. It finished up at 8:59, something like that, about 9 minutes, which is incredibly late. Even though we have we had an 8 Rex this game, it's still a very late tech path. And Action, if he just holds this, I think he is going to dive this. JY just brought all of his Marines down here, and he's going to hit that stim button. Let's see if he can break through here. A 5th lurker comes up. There are so many lurkers under this stack, and the Sunken Colony is baiting a lot of these shots. Only kills the Sunken. That is it, and JYJ will have to turn around, go home.
He was hoping for like just 3 lurkers in a stack. That's a bit more manageable. That's the usual amount. You have like 2 Sunkens and 3 lurkers is the usual threshold of minimal defense you have as Zerg. But yeah, unfortunately, like 5 stack lurkers, there's just nothing you're gonna do. He doesn't even have armor upgrade. Like, you need armor upgrade to like be able to tank more than 2 shots from those lurkers. And even if you do, then when you stim and go in, you'll still get 2-shotted down by the subterranean spy. It's not ideal to break into that at all, unless you've got some kind of siege tank support or irradiate, or at least defense matrix to draw some fire. But yeah, unfortunately JYJ not feeling too good about this game, so he has gone for some lotto dropships instead. He's going to go for a little bit of a gambit, maybe into the main base with these 2 dropships, and see if he can get on top of the technology right as the Defiler Man's finishing. There's 2 lurkers though in position in the main base, assuming that that's where the drop will come.
He's also moving through the middle of the map with these mutas. Hasn't been able to spot those drops just yet. We'll see which direction he's going to head with those. It looked like he was thinking about heading down to bottom right, but he changed his mind, heading over towards this top, in this main base over here in top right. There's a lot of exposed tech there. Action, he only needs to hold on to this. He's in such a good spot here. As long as he just stays alive, he should be really, really well off. But he's going to allow all of these drops into the main base. This is going to do a massive amount of damage. And he could even pull these dropships out and go load up and bring even more in here. Here comes all the lurkers now. The mutas are going to come forward as well. Scourge, I think, just connected on those dropships, so they will be eliminated from this game. A lot of drones went down here, but the tech is safe. This is a great cleanup by Action.
Yeah, I actually thought it was going to be a lot worse for Action there. I also thought that JYJ was going to be really smart and push into the natural as soon as he saw the lurkers transfer into the main. Like these forces here, I thought were going to hit the natural as soon as he pulled back into the main to defend. And I thought that would actually break Action, because he would have no lurkers in the natural and he could kill the Defiler and get on top of the drones, and there'd be nothing that Action could do about it.
Unfortunately, he didn't take that path. That's something that Speed does really, really well. Is very good at swinging damage from the drops, and he knows exactly the limits of the Zerg player. Here comes a bunch of Marines here into the natural, but there's the Dark Swarm. As soon as he arrives, JYJ has been blocked absolutely everywhere. He's going to start to add more CCs for himself. He's going to get some command centers going. He's got one in center left. He may even double expand here. Looks like some drone snout mining for action. So some things are not going that well. Of course, a lot of drones were killed earlier as well. But overall, Action is in a great spot. He's defended everything nicely, and he's got his upgrades on curve. He's got his defilers out. As long as he doesn't take any massive damage from this follow-up drop, and indeed there will be the follow-up drop coming in, he should be in a great spot to take this into late game. He is so good with late game defiler, just one of the best in the business.
He's also getting that Ultra Cavern online very soon as well, with the 4th gas that's about to be set up soon. This is going to get worrying for JYJ momentarily here. He's trying to lay siege to the Zerg a little bit, but he might be able to break through here. He's going to go for a razor trick. If there's no borrow, this actually might do something. I don't think there's any borrow upgrades. We're actually going to kill a decent amount of drones here. The Scourge coming to support, but not before some of these drones are falling. And a drop coming into the bottom right. Not going to be breaking through these 3 lurkers easily with the Dark Swarm, though, unfortunately. But still some nice plays from JYJ, keeping the pressure on Action and reducing the economy potential of him, while also getting his 3rd base set up. I would even like to see a 4th base come out from JYJ to try and, like, you know, out muscle Action in the common phases, because once these Ultralisks start popping out with 4 gas, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Such a shame that those Scourge didn't connect on the irradiated science vessel. That's caused so much damage, and now we've got this secondary drop coming in. It's going to start to set down a bunch of Marines here, and running around, he might be able to get some kills in these corners. Nice plague there. Huge plague, actually. Maybe the Defiler goes down, but overall, a really decent defense from Action. He's starting to put things back together, but JYJ's got him on the back foot for the moment.
He's got a Special Forces Marine here, though, snagging 4 drone kills. That's the one saving grace of JYJ going forward. He is taking that 4th base up in the top left like I thought he should be. You need to kind of double expand as Terran in these situations and kind of play a little bit greedy and try and catch up with the curve of the economic might of the Zerg. We also see 3 starports with comsat, so he's going to be churning out a lot of vessels and also have the ability to produce more and more dropships if he so chooses. Still laying siege to this natural expansion in the bottom right quadrant of the map. More and more irradiates, just like laying siege to the Zerg, trying to whittle down what utility. If Action makes a few mistakes and doesn't keep making defilers, eventually he won't have enough utility to keep these so-called invincible positions alive anymore. Sometimes Zergs make the mistake of not constantly producing a defiler at both locations, and eventually you find a window where the Zerg doesn't have the defiler and you can break through after some good irradiates. So far, Action has done a good job of keep remaking his utility units, though, so I don't see that happening anytime soon. But JYD's doing a great job of pressuring Action while he's expanding right now.
These dropships never got taken down, and so they're still active. There's a possibility he gets in there and does another drop, causes some more chaos in the bottom right-hand corner. However, it seems like that's locked down enough. Maybe JYJ needs to look somewhere else. No, he's going to come along this right-hand side and actually hit this base one more time as he's hitting the natural. Going in for this drop. He actually doesn't drop out early enough, it seems. And the Scourge are going to deal with that first dropship. Second dropship. Looks like it's going to be cleaned up here shortly as well. JYJ's, what was it, 3rd or 4th drop? Really not paying for itself here, and looks like everything gets cleared.
Finally, the cattle bruisers are operational, and they are making their way downtown to this natural expansion. They will be a lot more successful in shutting off the gas taps of Action, hammering these bases, and forcing a lot of Scourge to be invested in dealing with those. He has got Plague, though, so he could just throw down some Plagues on those BCs to make that much more cost-efficient way of dealing with those forces. They are so annoying, though, as a Zerg player. It's very difficult to protect your gas when this is occurring. He'll have to Dark Swarm his own drone lines to prevent absolute critical damage here, while also throwing down some spores to buffer.
He gets those spores online, but he loses both of his defilers. The Plague is going to help out a lot, but is being forced to produce a lot of anti-air to deal with this, and he's going to lose the Nidus Canal now. That Nidus Canal going down, very annoying, and more Scourge are falling without getting their connections. Moving forward towards this base. Can he get another plague going for these BCs? There we go. Gets the follow-up plague on that. All he needs is a couple mutas, and he should be able to clear this out pretty efficiently, but he's still sending in Scourge, and they're all just dying. Oh, no. Oh, the Scourge go down. He just cannot break this. Another pair of Scourge arrives and just gets instantly obliterated. These very low HP battlecruisers are doing insane damage. 14 kills on one of those. 8 and 8. That is craziness. Finally, a Hydra will come out just to kill these very annoying battlecruisers.
Yeah, without Carapace upgrade on those Scourge, they do get one shot by those BCs, unfortunately. These Ultralisks are doing a little bit of work in the top left, surprisingly. JYJ is actually having to pull back quite some forces to deal with that. Now that Action is aware of this base up here, I'm sure he wants to lay assault to that very soon. He doesn't want to allow JYJ to set up 2 quadrants of the map and also get some production up in that top left as well. So now Action's going to go on the counter-offensive with small pockets of forces here to try and get the better of JYJ setting up in the top left. But JYJ surrounding these forces in the center. Lurkers are terrible when they're out on the field like this, and especially Defilers. So it's actually working out in JYJ's favor right now, baiting out Action's units onto the map and then cleaning them up nicely like this. He's avoiding the plague on the vessels as well.
Oh my gosh, more battlecruisers down here at bottom right. JYJ is making this scrappy enough with the battlecruisers, killing off so much. Action is just not able to fully stabilize, even on 4 bases. He should be getting into a 5th base by now. JYJ's on 4 bases himself, and he's holding on that high ground as well. Scourge are going to come through now, but only a couple of them do connect. The Spore Colony's doing a lot of damage here, but I think he could barely get away with one of these battlecruisers. Looks like the one battlecruiser will get out of range. Now it can actually fight these Hydralisks and maybe kill them off as well. So frustrating for Action to deal with all of this while he's trying to put pressure onto JYJ, and it's just not really making any progress. JYJ is almost completely maxed. He's done a fantastic job holding back Action, even though he had such a hard time with those dropships. In the early game, he wasn't able to break through anywhere. He is pulling Action apart bit by bit. It's really incredible to watch JYJ pull this together in the late game.
You can really see why he's considered a TBZ specialist. He's showing his caliber this game, even though he had a rough time of it earlier on. Really making Action like a little bit more silly as time progresses with his more superior understanding of the game state. He's just kind of abusing him on all fronts right now, and there's suddenly too many fires for Action to put out. He's trying to keep all the plates spinning, but he's losing Defilers left, right, and center. He hasn't really done the greatest of jobs in fighting off the attacks from JYJ, stopping his gas income in this bottom right. He's finally now starting to stabilize the game state and has got some great plagues on this infantry force, forcing a retreat from JYJ. But honestly, like, he has done enough job of slowing down the Zerg. And look at this top left of how many bunkers there are. He's aware of the threat of the counterattacks from the Zerg being the way that the Zerg wins the game. So he's taking no chances at all with how many bunkers he's put up there. It's a really smart play from JYJ. Usually just like 2 bunkers end up getting cleared, but that many takes a long time.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of forces. You really do need a Defiler up there with some Lings to consume as well if you want to break through that base. Plague goes down. He doesn't have enough for a secondary plague, so he's just going to throw down the Dark Swarm here to buy himself a little bit of time. Another Defiler is going to go down over at this base. Running out of defenses at this location, and looks like a Hydra's actually going to get a few kills on some of these science vessels, but Marines are pushing past and getting on top of these Ultras. They have that +5. And a Dark Swarm will hold off JYJ for the time being, but Action is barely hanging in this game as he gets the 5th gas online. It's not a moment too soon. Already 22 minutes in. The Natural and Main are already out of gas for sure.
Yeah, I actually think I would like to see JYJ start to use these battle cruisers as direct air support for his army and bring them across the map to the top right now and start to use them in conjunction with these forces up here and ignore this bottom right quadrant, because right now he's doing a great job of forcing Action to be isolated in defensive positions, and Action can't really do anything. It's like watching a stasis right now as these units are kind of stuck under a Dark Swarm, stuck between a rock and a hard place. Some SCVs being transferred into the top left as he takes that natural expansion up there, going up to another base because the main and natural have been mined out for quite some time now for JYJ. So he's still going to be maintaining a 3-base economy, and these battle cruisers getting up here into this sort of 12 o'clock pocket will make it very difficult to defend this gas. Even though you Dark Swarm, you can still kill the geyser. So this is a little bit of a problem for Action right now.
Yeah, it's a very tough problem to deal with. The Hydras come forward, but they're just going to be sniped down. Hydralisk range probably not finished. Doesn't seem like he has Hydralisk speed. Oh, maybe he does have Hydra speed now. Loses that gas. No 5th gas. This is a great snipe for JYJ. Another base trying to go down in the center right. Action's putting out fires everywhere, but he's getting overwhelmed. He's getting burned here little bit by little bit.
Yeah, he really is starting to crumble under the weight of JYJ. He has done a good job of like increasing his supply. He has got a lot of forces that have been mustered. He's just struggling to leverage it. JYJ is kind of all over the place. Like, look at these small contingencies, like 5 Marines running over here, forcing a Dark Swarm. Now Action's distracted down here, and so JYJ's army is going to go back up to this 12 o'clock pocket and put on pressure back up there. So just while Action was trying to deal with this force, he's now got another thing to worry about, and this is what JYJ's been doing to him all game long, just like constantly trying to make him lose control of his own spinning plates. But so far, this actually might look good for Action. If he gets a good plague on like this, so far, this is looking pretty good. He is wrapping around with these 3 ultras from the northern flank and links coming from the east. This is looking pretty good for Action suddenly. He is starting to weather the storm and then come back on the trades, even picking up 2 of those vessels on the exit with that Hydralisk is key. He hasn't been too active with these BCs at 12 o'clock either. They just snipe the gas and now they're going back in to snipe it again. So he's not taking too much damage from these harassing BCs, luckily.
Action is doing this with such a small amount of gas income. Is barely trickling in gas from his 4 bases, and he's struggling to get this 5th gas online. Should be taking the one at center right here in just a moment. This battle cruiser, the last of its kind, another one flying into the main base. That ends up going down as well. And that battle cruiser up at 12 o'clock did fall. So Action finally getting some breathing room. He's finally able to just start pumping out units and working with that 5 gas. He should be able to pump out a lot, but is it going to be enough? JYJ down on 160, 170 supply. Hasn't made any sort of move towards the transition, mass factories or anything like that. He's just continuing with this SK Terran style. And when Action gets these next 2 gases online, things are going to get really scary. I know I said something similar to that before, and JYJ managed to weather the storm, but seriously, it's going to eventually happen. Whoa. Another battle cruiser over here getting plenty more kills. Drones are being shut down for a moment. There's a very nice spore over at this base. That's just going to prevent an eraser trick from going down over at this base. Very important that he doesn't lose those drones right now. He needs that active income from the gas geyser over in top center.
Yeah, he's done a great job of stabilizing his game state. Now with this extra gas trickling in and the BC's mopped up, he should be able to produce enough forces to fight back JYJ. Although JYJ currently trying to lay siege to both the 3 o'clock while also fighting the standing army at the 12 o'clock position. So there's not really enough forces down here to do anything, though. He's kind of just distracting Action a little bit. So I don't think this will accomplish very much. Without the mech transition like you were talking about, though, there isn't really much lifeline in the super late game for JYJ. He's just hoping on outmaneuvering Action in this game and somehow bowling him over and denying his gas. But Action's done a great job of circumnavigating that. Although it looks like JYJ might... I don't know if JYJ can keep going with all these plagues. I mean, Action's been hitting plague after plague after plague on his forces and really making the cost efficiency dwindle for the Terran player. Now we're seeing the narrowest supply margins in quite some time, 170 to 144. Action is going to go on the counter-offensive now.
Action has made the transition that JYJ wasn't willing to. He switched into Hydralisk Defiler, recognizing that there's going to be so many battle cruisers out on the map and that there aren't really there isn't really any sort of transition into tanks coming. Might as well go for mass Hydralisk. Mass Plague is going to become insanely efficient, and it's going to give him the best option for trading against these battle cruisers as well. JYJ's managed to make his way over to this spot between the center right and the bottom right corner, and he's trying to open up this position with some irradiates to follow up and actually break that base, but Action is being too swift, moving his units over to that position. He's going to have a Defiler and some Ultralists ready to fight this, and yeah, he's going to force him back once again. Defiler does get Plague, or does get irradiated, excuse me. Plague should be coming down here in a moment. Darkstorm Plague, very nicely done. Action pushing into top left. He's actually hitting this base and breaking it open. There's only 2 bases mining right now for JYJ, and one of them is under siege.
Yeah, this is not looking ideal. Like, most of his army's pinned down in the bottom right, and he can't do anything about this top left situation. The northwest quadrant is under direct threat right now, and he's distracted in the bottom right. This is not looking ideal at all, and even in the bottom right, he's killing vessel after vessel after vessel. Look at the supplies right now, again, narrowing that margin. Actions must be feeling good about this situation more and more, and now that he's starting to gain ground in the northwest quadrant of the map and cleaning up on aisle 5 down here as well. This is looking ideal for our Zerg player, who's somehow done the impossible, firing on all cylinders at almost 400 APM into a super late game TVZ. We still have some cattle bruisers out in the middle of the board trying to do something, while these other 3 are at the 12 o'clock also pressuring the gas expansion. But Action going on the counter-offensive is doing great work in the top left. He's going to get on top of this base. He's cleared all the bunkers almost, and now we'll start to eat into the last remaining mining base of JYJ. There's nothing else mining besides that base.
+2 on these battle cruisers, actually making some progress, but one of the big hints as to where the Terran player is at is the number of science vessels that are remaining, and really that science vessel count has hit an all-time low. Only like 2 science vessels total out on this map. That's going to make it very hard for JYJ to continue putting on pressure, continue breaking through Defiler positions. He's getting some good irradiates down on some of these Ultras, but they're going to surround the Bioforces down here at the bottom right. Bioforces run onto this ramp. He's going to try and take the best possible engage he can. He's got some Firebats in the mix as well. He's actually breaking through. Hold on, Shun. JYJ is getting in onto the center right.
This game is absolutely insane. He actually evacuated the drones. They're going up to 12 o'clock right now. He has managed to limit the income of JYJ, who's not currently mining. He's actually losing money because he's repairing somewhere. This is actually crazy game right now. But because Action has stopped the mining of JYJ, he still might actually close this game out. If only JYJ had somehow maintained control over at least 1 mining base, this game might not only be playable but very winnable for him. But as it stands, even though he's breaking through on his bottom right like this, he has stopped the mining completely for JYJ. It's absolutely crazy game state, although Action is currently ahead in supply. So unless we see perfect micro from JYJ where he somehow circumnavigates all of the units and threats, he will eventually be cleaned up.
Oh my god, battle cruisers make their way into top center. He's killing so many workers up there. There's no Defiler to stop this. The army of JYJ gets cleared down in bottom right, so Action's definitely got more mining going than JYJ. I would love to see what happened at top center, but it looks like the battle cruisers may have gotten cleaned. Some Scourge popping out. No, Defiler plus Hydra looks like managed to shut that down, and GG is finally called. JYJ taps out. Another win for Action. I tell you, Shun, it is an amazing feeling when you're at the edge of defeat for that long. Like we saw Action in that last game, just barely hanging on and then managing to finally come back and win a game like that. It is incredible, and an incredible ZVT there. Definitely worthy of the best of 2025 playlist, I think. And we've had a lot of great games here recently in the KCM, probably worthy of that title. Also, a lot of great games in the SDS. I need to mention this, Shun, because it's a new series that I've been doing 5 days a week. It's live on SOOP in partnership with SOOP. the SOOP Duel Series. And if you haven't seen it yet, definitely come check it out. It's on the channel, but it's also live. And we've got a goal for support for that that was given to us by SOOP. I've decided, and Shun and I have talked about it today, that we're going to possibly have Shun come in and do a guest cast here coming up pretty soon, but I gotta talk about that a little bit later. We've got a cannon rush here from Mini, who's actually gonna set up the second cannon. He's managed to throw it down just in time. It's right next to the gas, though. There's a possibility Action could make a gas, cancel, and get drones over this.
Yeah, oh, look at that double slide of the drones from Action. Perfect frame input to get 2 drones over. That was crazy from Action. Really well executed from him. That's extremely hard to do. Although the one drone is bugged out, so it can't fight the probe. He has to try. The second probe comes in. This is kind of crazy. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I'm looking at right now, but both players were playing out their mind for a second. Action did a great job of sliding over two drones, but unfortunately, Mini getting the better end of the stick, especially with the second probe coming in to cause a little bit of extra havoc as well. This is a wild game we're seeing. Both players are probably really like trying to get into the highest caliber of play just as SSL's around the corner. So I imagine we're going to be seeing some crazy games in KCM now that SSL's about to be coming online.
Yeah, this is wild, Shun. That second probe that hopped over, that was actually blocking the cannon from being made after the drone died. So he hopped the probe back over the wall. I don't even know how he did that, but he somehow managed to get the probe back over the wall and make some space for this cannon to come up. Now 2 cannons are out, and these sunken colonies are nearing completion. That sunken colony finishes. It's got 1 hit on it. It does get a couple of shots off, though. And now he's going to go after this cannon. Can he actually kill it? It's so close. I think he gets the cannon. Shun! Oh, my God. 4 HP.
1 HP. That was 1 hit. It had 1 shield. It would have gone down. Oh, my gosh. That is crazy. He just barely doesn't clean it. Just barely. Like the 1 hit from this bottom sunken actually was needed to break the other cannon as well. So that was very well timed out from both players. This was almost perfectly mapped out from both players. Action almost barely cleaned it, and Mini had it timed out to perfection as well to deny it from being cleaned. This is absolutely crazy. The Lings will come in and eventually clean this. The second cannon morphs in though, so these Lings can't really do anything about it with the probes blocking. So this cannon rush does continue now.
Oh my goodness, he can't get in with the Lings at the bottom cannon. It looks like there's plenty of space, but there's like some weird doodad there below the cannon. Look at that. Yeah. That's not passable terrain. You have to go through the top side. You have to get past that probe. Okay, no, he actually can slip by with 1 Ling. He can get 2 Lings to attack, but the Lings keep dying here, so he can't get the 2 Lings to attack at the same time. He's getting a little bit more damage. He gets the cannon. Oh my God, he gets it, but another cannon finishes just barely in time. This is ridiculous, Shun. How is this happening? More Lings come out. He's actually going to save this. What?
This is crazy. I don't even know what I'm watching right now. My mouth is actually hanging open. I think actually the cannon will live temporarily, but he should eventually clean this cannon. No way. I don't even know what I'm watching. I can't believe Mini managed to pull this off. That's insane. We are going to have a crazy time in SSL soon, boys.
Absolutely ridiculous, redonkulous, cutting off my big announcement there with a crazy cannon rush. Midi finally shuts down Action, and we've got a series on our hands, guys. This is what KCM is all about. We're gonna have Mini versus Speed next. What an incredible comeback here for the Protoss. If they bring this one back, I will just be absolutely speechless. Let's jump into that next game. So guys, the situation is this. With SOOP Duel Series, we've got a gem skull, and we're trying to accomplish it. The timing of the SDS, it's streamed at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Wednesday through Sunday. It's a fantastic series, but unfortunately it's in the middle of the night UK time. It's starting around like 3 a.m. something like that, Shun?
Yeah, it's pretty late.
Kind of a rough time slot for Shun. However, Shun has agreed if we manage to hit that gem goal, he's going to come on and, you know, stay up all night, do a dual cast with me as kind of a reward to you guys for supporting that series. So that's very exciting news. Definitely go over there, watch the live stream, support it, and we'll eventually get a Shun Saiyan duo cast for that brand new series. That'll be a lot of fun.
I'll be super excited for that, yeah. And we got SSL coming around the corner as well, saying I'm getting super excited about StarCraft right now. How can you not be?
Yeah, there's also that big news that Artosis is going to be casting the qualifiers. It feels like things are starting to open up a little bit. Like SOOP is communicating a little bit better. SOOP is getting more open to the English community, and I mean that's just all good news all across the board, Shun.
Oh, absolutely. I've been wanting the bridges to be built for the longest time. I don't expect them to give us all the secret strategies that they'll make you pay money for. I don't care about that. What I care about is that we've just got more access to provide you guys this amazing content and bring you the very best of the StarCraft world.
Yeah, I'm not expecting them to be handing over all the replays and stuff like that anytime soon. I think that trust takes a very long time to build, but as long as they're willing to communicate and willing to allow English casts, I think that's absolutely fantastic. It's just such a good sign for our scene, for our community. And so all of your support is appreciated. Now getting into this game, we got Mini versus Speed, and we've kind of skipped over the openers, but nothing crazy out of the ordinary has happened so far. We're here on Radion, and both players are getting the full scout, seeing each other's bases and getting into their early game units, getting their factory. Speed's getting his factory. Mini's got his Cyber Core down. He hasn't started that spinning just yet, but he'll probably get that range first, and yes, he will before Robo. Gonna be a little bit safe here.
Yeah, we saw the early gas from Speed. That's why his factory was even earlier than 2:29, which is the standard timing for 12 gas. So I'm assuming he went 11 gas, and then wanted to see if he could find a Nexus first to punish maybe. But Mini's actually playing pretty middle of the road, just going to be getting a faster core online, nothing crazy, and throwing down a safe 23 Nexus. It's about as greedy as you can be without actually being greedy and actually technically being safe.
Yeah, he's pretty darn safe right now. Is gonna probably throw down his Robo. That leaves a little bit of space. We'll see if he gets a gateway before the Robo. I think he won't, though. It's more of a greedy play. This is a big map. Even though we're here on horizontal spawns, it's still a long rush distance to get across and deal any damage to the Protoss player here.
Yeah, the curious thing is, does Mini throw down an extremely fast Robo to get some observers into the speed space really early on and identify exactly what's coming out of him? He could throw down that Robo right now if he wanted to and go for a crazy fast observers and identify exactly what the Terran build order of choice is going to be. He hasn't elected to do so just yet. Wants to come and clear out this SCV. Oh, there's the Robo. Wants to clear out this SCV from his main base so he can also obfuscate his own tech paths. Speed trying to be on top of his pressure early on, though. Wants to bait this Dragoon into the main base so the Vulture can come in and maybe get something done.
Vulture's going to come up the ramp, but finds a Dragoon there. And the Dragoon coming from behind might actually get the kill. It's so close. Ooh, 5 HP. Slips out. If he loses that early, Vulture, it is extremely bad, but he manages to keep it alive. He's gonna have to be very careful with that unit running around the map now, though. If he gets spotted by a Dragoon just for a second, that thing will go down.
Yeah, the Vultures are medium units, so they only take 15 damage from the Dragoon, but it does leave them with that 5 HP remainder, so pretty much just sneeze on it and it will die. Want to keep that alive until you can actually lay down those mines and make the actual use of that unit. Pretty much game ending if you lose a Vulture that early for free. You just don't have any scouting information or ability to keep an eye on the curve of the Protoss, so not feeling too happy about that low HP Vulture. That's why he's going for these like really long distance mines that are much safer to put down without risking losing the Vulture. So unfortunately he's not going to be getting the most ideal scouting information out of this Vulture as he so liked.
Yeah, it's much better if you can get the mine over here at the third base, but that's just not going to be an option. He'll probably place it somewhere out in the middle now that he's placed 2 of his mines already. He can be a little bit more aggressive with that. but he ends up losing it before throwing down that third mine. That's a bit unfortunate. Mini has gone into triple gateway after the robotics. And he's going to be throwing down this Nexus here pretty soon. This is a pretty solid way to play. Getting the early observers out and having those gateways in case he needs to constantly produce off of them and just have enough bulk of stuff to hold off whatever Speed decides to throw at him.
Right. He doesn't have a fast observer in the main base of Speed, so he doesn't know exactly what's coming out from him just yet. This could be a 3-factory aggression and putting on a lot of pressure onto him early on, but Mini's not being very greedy on his own side of things. This third base is very modestly timed, so I don't think we'll see anything crazy coming out from Speed. It looks like he's just going to be turtling up for the time being. I only see 1 factory from him. This might be... oh, he actually squeezes through with the 1 vulture. Doesn't get him with the second one, though. It actually works against him because he does lose a vulture for free as a result. And now Mini putting pressure on. He's going to take some shots at this bunker and force a little bit of repair. Siege is only just now finished up, so he will be safe with this siege expand style. But, I mean, this is, like, not really ideal for Speed, I don't think. I mean, he's a very strong Terran player, so I'm sure he'll make a game of it, but I'm starting to worry about him. We see a starport coming out, so it's going to be an upgrade Terran style from him for sure.
Well, this is what I was talking about with the triple gateway follow-up after the robos. You just have a lot of stuff. You got a lot of meat in your army. You've got Dragoons practically everywhere, right? He had 3 Dragoons in the natural, just in case there was some sort of drop coming in. And those came in really clutch to hold off the vultures that ended up slipping by. Plus, he had a bunch of Dragoons over here to put the pressure on. The downside is you don't have the Reaver. So the Reaver is missing from this composition, but it's going to be added on now. That's going to be a follow-up, though, and a much slower Reaver. We'll see if that catches Speed off guard at all, because he's already built a bunch of turrets in his main. He's pretty well defended. I don't think this will really get anything, but maybe it'll be useful in slowing down Speed as he moves to take a third base or push.
Right, he could also make a Wraith to give him some options of chasing down that Shuttle and Reaver as well with this fast starport if he so chooses. That is an option for Terran players. You don't always see it, especially if you already have invested so heavily into turrets, but it is still an option for him to get a Wraith out. We'd be curious to see if he does elect to do that. We see the starport spinning, so it's obviously a dropship or a Wraith, and with not many vultures out, I have to imagine that's a Wraith.
It's interesting what we're seeing out of Speed. You know, Speed, I've cast a bunch of games from him recently where he went double starport Wraith against Protoss, and he's been messing around with that a lot. But I haven't really, like, I've seen him play kind of normal style. I've seen him play that weird style, the Wraith style, but I haven't really seen him do this much, which is go directly into double armory upgrade. He's just going straight up old school 2 armory double upgrade. He's just going to start to throw some drops in here and there to try and slow down the Terran player. But the Reaver is getting 2 kills. That just got 2 tank kills. A bunch of probes end up going down here. About, what, 4 probes end up falling. But Mini's in here. He's dealing damage. And he really didn't take that much damage, that many probe losses back at home. So I don't know how well this is going to work out for Speed. He's going to have a really hard time taking his third base, that's for sure.
No, this was definitely a mistake from Speed. I would have loved to have seen him made a Wraith instead and just shut down that shuttle play. Instead, he does get a drop, though, at the third base with a siege tank. That's a lot more damage. 8 kills on that siege tank, so definitely finding more value. And he even gets out with the tank. Okay, Speed. Little boxer wannabe over here. Reaver, though, still getting some work done in the main base. 9 kills on that. Trying to take out these row of supply depots before the tank can reposition. Does finally shuffle that Reaver back as the tank moves up. He's really trying to be annoying as possible to Speed, and Speed inversely wants to be really careful with how he positions his tank so he doesn't just get bowled over by the counter micro of Mini. This is a little bit weird of a situation, though. I mean, the drop actually got some damage done that I didn't think it. I don't know what you're doing there, Speed. What are you doing, son?
Yeah, I'm really not sure. I don't know about the CC either, man. Like, we know the Reaver is here. What's
Look
the
at that
plan?
Scarab
What are
bugged
we
out. The
thinking?
Scarab
I
bugged
don't
out.
know
Did you
how
see
bugged.
the SCV was in the middle of the CC, so it couldn't detonate. Really lucky from Speed there. That would have been annoying.
That was an awkward interaction there between the mine and the SCV, but in the end, Speed will continue along with this third CC. He wants to get the third CC. He wants to get it. But we're already at 11 minutes, and he's sitting here making double upgrades. So I don't know how many tanks he's going to have, how many units he's going to have to actually push out and take this. And Mini's going to have a lot of stuff to try and break that. This is a tough third base to take.
And he hasn't killed enough probes to slow down that threat. He killed some probes, like maybe a total of 12 overall, but not enough. You need to kill like 15 to 20 to really slow down the ambition of Mini right now, who's currently almost 32 supply ahead, and he's even like countering your Vulture play out on the map very easily and will allow him to take a fast fourth base here. So I don't know about this player from Speed. It feels like he's a little bit desperate to get some damage done to make the follow-up phase of the game a little bit more easier to digest. He has brought himself some time and breathing room to start to shuffle over to this third base location. Siege Tank's already trying to get into position while Mini starts to barrel down back into this position himself. There is enough Siege Tanks to weather the storm. Not yet enough shuttle. Oh, okay, 3 shuttles. Okay, he has got enough to break this now. Mini might go for it. There's not enough mines to cover as well. With 3 shuttles, he will just dive bomb on top of these Siege Tanks. He has got some Reaver support as well to provide enough splash damage to start ripping through these mech units. Phase disruption shots, also making short work of the tanks on the front line where the Reavers go to work as well. Really beautifully executed attack here from Mini, and it now opens up the third base to complete harassment by these Scarabs. He will lose so many SCVs to those Scarabs now. 20 kills on that Reaver before they even started to chew into those SCVs.
This is a very ill-conceived push out from Speed. You know, he really wanted to get that CC on curve, but he's moved out, I think, just before that upgrade was done. I'll have to go back and look at that a second time to see exactly when the upgrade came into play. He's got 2-1 now, but right as he was moving out, I saw the upgrade. He was at 0-1, and he didn't move forward to set up turrets before he pushed out with these tanks. He moved forward. He allowed everything to jump on top. Now the Reavers are getting so many kills. This 30-kill Reaversion is absolutely insane. It's killing so many workers and units here as they come down this ramp. There is no hope left for Speed. This is a lost game. This is a lost cause as more zealots come forward and another shuttle makes its way into the natural. There's just really no hope here for even with this very upgraded mech. There's just nothing here. Those big storms end up taking out almost all the SCVs. What is there, like 20 SCVs remaining? And he's about to cut them down even further.
This is crazy. That Reaver has like 39 kills on it now, I think, in that shuttle. This is wild stuff. He's making Snow look silly of how good his Reaver kill count got to there. That was insane from Mini. Really great showing from him. I thought for sure Action was going to be dominating this week and picking up an all-kill on the Protoss squad, but Mini shutting both Action down and now also taking out the remainder of that Terran squad. Just Queen and Jaedong left to choose from in that Zerg squad. Who is it going to be?
Set number 7. And I gotta go back to that last one, just say that Speed playing way out of his own wheelhouse. Kind of a shocker there to see him go for that style. That's something I would expect from Light. Light's been messing around with that a little bit more, but not the type of play that I would anticipate Speed to go for. And I think if he played a little bit more in his style, he would have had a much better showing there. Now we're here with the Terran squad completely wiped out and Queen taking the field. This guy has been on fire, even more than Action lately. Although maybe not in this week. We'll see if he's able to pull out some good stuff here against Mini. But in previous weeks, he has been absolutely killing it.
Yeah, and that's in stark contrast to what we've seen from him in previous seasons. He was in a bit of a slump for quite some time, just not performing to his usual grade of play. Even after getting himself into great game states, he would somehow find a way of losing those games. We haven't seen that kind of choking Queen for quite some time now, and with SSL around the corner, you have to think that maybe this guy is going to be in his absolute A game right now. I would love to see some really impressive showings from him. Does scout that gateway first in the bottom left, so nothing crazy in this game, just a fast expansion. If he does lose one single drone to this pressure from the Zealot, then you'd be better off going overpull. Of how long the rush distances are on Radiant, it's so easy to not lose a drone.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a factor here. You should be able to keep this up. However, this expansion is going up in a bit of an awkward spot. He's taking it at the more natural third base location. However, that's pretty close to Mini, and so Mini will be able to rally Zealots to that location a lot faster. This could be a little bit tough to hold. Now though, with the spawning pool done and a big wave of Lings coming out, Queen's gonna bring these forces together and shove back the Zealots. Where is Mini gonna go with these? He's gonna go ahead and hide behind the hatchery. There's some really good spots to actually hide Zealots on this base.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why it's so awkward to expand here, is it just makes it easier for the Protoss to harass you. Has got a probe as well to make the trades efficiently. With the particle beam helping out, you can two-shot these Lings. Tries to get the snipe on that probe, dangerously low on HP, does manage to get that, makes it way easier to clean up these Zealots now. Just needs to get a good surround on those. Good dancing from Mini though, shuffling those Zealots will allow him to run back to the safety of those mineral lines if he so chooses. Splitting off the Lings now is Queen, wanting to go on the counter offensive, maybe intercept some of those additional Zealots to prevent any further shenanigans. Is currently still taking damage onto this hatchery with the task switching of Mini though, and won't find anything in the pressure. We'll be able to start to put some damage on this gateway while the cannon's warping in, but will not be able to kill it in time.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to get that kill in time either. Really good task switching from Mini. Putting the pressure onto the hatchery, and then the moment the Lings come forward, he hides behind the minerals, and then again, as soon as Queen pulls away with the Lings, back onto the hatchery again, dealing more damage, and that damage is going to start to add up. He gets a drone kill. That's huge. He's actually going to be able to kill that one Ling. No, he cannot slip away though. The other Ling blocking as well. It means that one of these Zealots goes down. Mini going to go into this corner now. He is getting hit by 3 Lings though, so the trade's not going to be as good as he wanted. And those Zealots are cleaned, but this is a little bit too much damage maybe. Queen, admitting that, is going to start to build a Hydralisk den immediately. He just wants to rush from here. He's going to go for a 973 to follow this up, and this is a common decision, a part of the decision tree when a Zerg player gets into a bad position like this. Sometimes it's necessary to just pull up the Hydralisk bus and try to make the quick win when you are so economically far behind.
Yeah, he's two drones behind the amount that he wants though, so he's a little bit shy of the economic powerhouse that he needs to make this build really shine. But he still should have enough damage potential in it to get the job done. The way this build works is that you see the Stargate coming online, but by the time the Corsair actually pops out and starts to scout what's coming, the Hydras are already on the way, so usually the response from the Protoss is too slow. The only way to really deal with this as Protoss is to kind of have scouting from the Zealots or probes to identify what's going on, or make a hedge your bet cannon and like cancel the cannon at 99 when the Corsair has confirmed that there is no incoming threat.
Well, this cannon needs to finish, and then he needs a hedge your bet cannon after that if he wants to be able to hold that, like a third cannon as a hedge your bet cannon. He does have a lot of Zealots here to buy time. That is a lot of Zealots actually. He only threw away the first 2, so he's got a solid 7 Zealots together at this front. The Lings are there. He sees that. He hasn't seen the Hydras yet, though, and he doesn't have a third cannon on the way, so he's going to have to suddenly throw down a bunch of cannons. He's throwing down one in the main because he's actually afraid of Mutas coming in right now, so that is a really bad sign here for Mini, that he is not aware of what's going on. Here comes those Hydralisks coming up to the front. They're going to dive in with the Latents actually blocking at the front. A lot of these Zealots are going to go down very, very quickly. The probes have been pulled. No more cannons have started here just yet. Mini being a little bit slow on adding on more cannons is just trying to focus his attention on bringing all of the probes to the front. He starts 3 more cannons, but will they be able to finish in time? Queen being harassed back at home. I don't see a lot of Hydras coming forward, but there should be a few more making their way up to the front here shortly.
Yeah, we have got an opportunity to transition here. 4th macro hatchery has come down, so 9734 style. This is like kind of like a double fake where he's able to put on some pressure and kill the forge, force a lot of cannons and not actually fully commit into it right away. Just enough to break the wall and maybe get a kill on this forge, but doesn't actually get the cancel on that upgrade. So the +1 weapons does finish up, and he has forced 6 cannons, but he's transitioning now. He's not actually committing to this bust. So we have like a double fake Hydra bust from Queen. Has forced a lot of cannons out of Mini, and Mini's not happy about that. He's actually putting down macro gates way quicker than I thought he would. I don't know how he's getting so much money, but Mini's actually already churning out his mid-game gates about 30 seconds ahead of schedule. So Mini's done a great job of optimizing despite all of this crazy shenanigans and having to throw down so many cannons, so he should still be okay in the mid-game phase. I don't think Queen's out of the woods yet, and being supply blocked by these Corsairs is now problematic.
I think Queen's gonna start lurker upgrade here. He actually get the 3rd gas online as soon as possible. Really get that gas income rolling, because he needs something to keep himself alive as all these gateways come online. The number of Zealots that's going to be coming out will be insane. He starts a Spire. I don't like this. I wish he would just go ahead and get Lurker rolling right away. He's going to lose another Overlord over here. The Overlord at the 3rd goes down. The Corsairs are being, frankly, very annoying. And Queen, he might just get completely bowled over with this first round of units that pops out.
Yeah, I can't see that anything else happening right now, saying this is not looking ideal for Queen at all. And like I was saying, the macro gates of Mini were more than on time, despite having to make 6 cannons at the front. So there's going to be a lot of forces coming his way in the next coming minutes of the game. He's got maybe a minute or 2 to stabilize, get his act together, maybe throw down some sunken colony at each base or something. But if there's no lurker tech on the way, and he's relying purely on Hydras to defend this, he needs to skirmish perfectly with the High Templars to have any chance at winning this game. It's going to be very difficult. He has to do perfect storm dodging and baiting from the natural expansion of the Protoss all the way back to his defensive line to make this work.
Queen has managed to sneak out just enough drones to get himself rolling on 6 hatcheries, but the Hydra number is pretty darn low. There's just not really that many to speak of. He is going to run forward here, maybe get a snipe on a Templar or 2. Here goes 1 Templar. He dodged the storms pretty well, but he lost more Overlords in that trade. He has enough supply open to keep this production rolling, but running into the natural right now is insane.
What is he doing?
That's crazy. I can't believe he did that.
Yeah, that's really risky what he just did there, and that might have just cost him the game if he's not careful. Pure Hydra is just not great at dealing with Zealot Templar Goon. It's really great at skirmishing with Zealot Templar as long as you're storm dodging. As soon as the Dragoons start to come out, though, they're act like siege tanks, and suddenly the bodyguarding of the Templars is so much more harder to break through and snipe, so you kind of have to just rely on defensive positioning and transitioning into a Lurker Ling composition and going into a late game. We might be seeing that from Queen now. He's desperately trying to get some Lurkers hatched, but Mini will smell blood in the water and start to attack now.
Yeah, he's coming across this map. Queen is getting his 4th base online. He'd love to make a bunch of lurkers and a big round of drones and just transition into this 4th base economy, get his hive going and all that, but he's being forced to make a lot of Hydras right now because he just didn't have the numbers earlier on, and he lost a ton of Hydras pretty quickly over at that natural. There's the round of drones that I was talking about. making its way over to that fourth. Bunch of lurkers out here too. Mini's not attacking right now, and so as long as Mini doesn't attack for the time being, I think Queen's going to be okay. But as soon as this army comes to bear, as soon as Mini really comes across the map and starts to put the pressure on Queen, I think we're going to start to see cracks.
Yeah, I think Mini's being a little bit cautious, worried about maybe worried about Spire timing and worried about an Ogre Zerg transition, or maybe rather the Templars being sniped. So instead wants to just set up his third base before doing anything. This actually gives a lot of breathing room to Queen. Queen is on currently Battle Zerg mode style, so if he doesn't identify this third base play and transition into a hive, he needs to kind of kill Mini to make this game work. So a little bit of a weird situation we're going to find ourselves in. He has got a very strong economy with this fourth base coming online, but if he doesn't identify the third base play from Mini, he might get himself into a rough situation where he's stuck on Battle Zerg tech and hasn't got a way of transitioning into hive, although he just scouted the third base now.
Yeah, he sees that. I think he saw it a little bit earlier. Does he have a Queen's Nest? The Queen's Nest is going to be key. I just don't see it anywhere, Shun, and this push is starting to come over towards the space. I love the positioning here. The setup is amazing. Queen really has a nice defensive setup, but this is the type of setup I would be expecting if we were going to have a transition into Hive. Not if he's going to go mass Lurker Hydra and try to kill, which is what he needs to do if he's not going to be transitioning.
I think he's just now throwing down those tech buildings when he's identified the game state as it is. I think that was just now the Queen's Nest going down in the main base. So he will be transitioning, but it's a little bit slow. We won't be seeing that really early plague that we see in some games. So he has to weather the storm, pun intended, for quite some time. Big lurker field has been set up, but this is dangerously close to his rally point. If Mini makes any ground here, he can threaten the Zerg production lines and force re-rallies of all the hatcheries, which is an absolute nightmare to do when you're pumping off so many hatcheries as Zerg. So want to protect that rally point at all costs. Has got some Hydras on the periphery trying to snipe this 6 o'clock base from going up, but the units of Mini are already into pursuit mode and will be denying that from occurring. So great play from Mini, going to be getting this fourth base up more or less uncontested as well.
Yeah, this is getting tougher and tougher for Queen. Just for reference, guys, if you're really on curve with your hive timing as a Zerg player in ZVP, you can get a Defiler out by 14 minutes. But we're here at 14 minutes now, and the hive is just kind of started. He's having a really hard time making that transition. A lot of Zealots down here having a difficulty with that egg wall. It's slowing him down quite a bit from trying to maneuver into this bottom right-hand corner, but I don't think Mini even needs to try and come down here to try to take a base at this point. He's really just getting down here to get rid of these units and open the position for a fifth base a little bit later on. That fourth base economy as the Protoss player is really all he needs against this struggling Zerg player who's trying desperately to transition.
Yeah, once he gets that fourth base online undeterred, he's going to be feeling fantastic about the game state. He can really launch into late game from that. Not looking too good for Queen thus far. If the Protoss starts to skirmish here with him and there's no Plague available, or even Dark Swarm to buffer against these Dragoons, there's just not much way of trading against this cost efficiently. He's got to throw everything against the wall and hope it sticks. Pretty good storms though, clearing up most of those units as they come in to try and defend this attack. You don't necessarily need to kill the Zerg, you just lay siege to them using these Dragoons like siege tanks, pressuring the units and the rally point and any macro hatcheries nearby. Starts to push into this rally point deeper and deeper. Now the rally of Queen is so under threat that he might even have to start re-rallying his hatcheries, which would be very problematic because a lot of these units are going to be killed for free otherwise. And it looks like Mini's being very smart with keeping his army just barely back enough that he will not be flanked or caught off guard here. He's going to keep reinforcing that over and over again. I think he's identified just how late the hive is for Queen. He's going to abuse it.
Oh my goodness, Queen pulled all the units from top right, realizing that he was going to be broken here, but as soon as Mini turned around, he pulled everything back to top right. And now the rally point's going to be broken. Mini was just regrouping. He was getting another round of units to the front. Now everything needs to come all the way back from that top right. Try to get over here and flank this army. It's not in position. Here comes a bunch of lurkers. They just spawned over at this rally point. They are going to be killed, though. He's not burrowing. He will burrow finally here at the end of this fight. Lurkers at the back are going to be killed, pounced upon immediately by these Dragoons. Dragoons just overwhelming these forces. You need the combination of everything together as the Zerg player to overwhelm a force like this. You need the Lurkers, the Lings to buffer, and the Hydras to get the damage done, while the Lurkers kind of hold back the Zealots. And he just doesn't have the combination. He doesn't have the coordination left anymore. This army, with everything becoming so chaotic, and the Protoss player right on top of his rally point queen is just about to break. It looked like such a strong position he had over here in his natural, but eventually Mini wears it down slowly but surely. He's breaking into this base. He's pushing in right before Defiler is finished. It's 17 minutes in. There's no Defiler in sight. Mini is going to bust through this with the pure Dragoon army.
This is a beautifully executed assault from Mini. There's just nothing you can do as even with Cracklings upgraded fully, without Plague support, they just do not trade cost efficiently enough against this late game style army from Mini. GG finally called, and Queen made to look silly by the might of Mini right now, and only Jaedong is left remaining to try and stomp out this threat right now. I mean, I've not seen Mini play this solid in a long time.
Ooh, wow. An unexpected finale with Mini taking out Queen. We've got Jaedong going up against Mini in this final, and all kill is on the table, by the way. Mini took out both Action and Queen. So if he gets the kill on Jaedong, he's gonna win himself a nice little prize. And Mini goes for a gateway in the middle of the map. Are you kidding me? What?
Is that going to be 9-9 as well? That might be 9-9 gates. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. We're going to have fireworks in both KCM and SSL. Like, these guys are coming to play. Like, and this might be our last flashless SSL for a long time as well. So this might be their only time to shine, is probably what they're thinking. Like, Flash has such an aura about him, even if he's not playing the same caliber as back in the day. He still has that aura about him. So these guys feel nervous when they're up against him, and they want to maybe make a run for it and see if they can secure that title just before he comes back to play next season, I imagine.
I think that's got to be in the back of a lot of these pro gamers' heads. Mini, I'm having flashbacks of that Larva versus Mini SSL final, ASL finals, where he gate in the middle of the map and lost. That was so ridiculous. Game number 7, if you remember, he went for that. It just such a wacky, wild player to go for a gate play in such a high pressure situation. And you know, put everything on the line. That's just the type of guy he is, though. We've got a...
That makes you dangerous.
Yeah, it makes you dangerous. Overlord heading towards the middle of the map. He is going to eventually spot as the Zealots are coming in, but Jaedong opened with a hatchery first. He is in a lot of trouble here, Sean.
Oh yeah, no, usually you're in trouble with the first Zealot coming if it's like across the map. Coming from the middle with 2 gateways over production, yeah, you're not feeling too happy about this. He might get us around on this Zealot, though. Who knows? If he can somehow get us around on this Zealot, he is going to be pretty okay. Doesn't quite get it, though. Just barely shuffling the Zealot back to safety with the other probe, and Zealot now meeting up. Snipes that probe, though, makes it harder to trade. But with how many Zealots are coming out, you kind of have to put on some counter pressure, keep catching individual Zealots, maybe put on some pressure onto the pylon as well after killing that probe. Bit of a weird situation, though. He has to probably make maybe a Sunken in the main base here underneath his gas and just drone drill onto it and hope for the best, and maybe even sacrifice his natural expansion here.
I was completely wrong. This was not a hatchery first. This is some sort of overpool build that came out of Jaedong. That's why the Lings are out so quick. He cancels the hatch.
He has to.
He's gonna mine gas and try. Is he gonna go for Ling speed? No. He's got the gas geyser, but he's not gonna go for Ling speed.
The play here is to counterattack while defending with Sunken. He can actually do this. If he drone drills onto the Sunken, he's hard to break it. He's going to counterattack with these Zerglings and force Mini into a more defensive game state. He can then turn this into a win. it's very difficult to execute because obviously probes can micro against your lings and stuff, even if you do get into the main base. And what you really want to do is wrap around and come back and kill this pylon and cut off the production line off of these two gateways. But it's very difficult to do against a caliber of player of Mini who understands that and has got these two zealots buffering against these zerglings while also containing the extra zerglings from coming out onto the map in the main base. So really well executed play from Mini is so impressive what I'm seeing right now. Jaedong does manage to kill those two zealots, but he won't be able to put any pressure onto his production now. He's taken a ninja expansion at the natural third of Mini. What a wild game we have on our hands.
I thought that Jaedong might throw down a hatchery somewhere out on the map with that drone that we saw, the scouting drone, kind of just out there. There's a really good chance that he was just going to throw down a hatchery. I did not expect it to go up at that base, though. That is a wacky location to go for. Trying to kill these eggs so he can open up the surface area on this ramp to actually come down. That's a lot of zealots, though. And he's going to start to make pylons at the bottom and make cannons. This actually might play into Jaedong's hands a little bit. If he starts to make cannons down here, and there's a base on the other side of the map where he can macro out of and start to send units into the main of Mini, that will really catch Mini off guard. He's actually got two zealots on the ramp, though. Maybe if Jaedong just starts mining gas there or something and makes mutas. What do you think, Shin?
I mean, that's a play. He could also just try and produce units to kill the center pylon. That's another play. Some tech would have been great here if he has gone for that, but I don't think so. I think he's just been purely macroing mass amounts of lings off of these two hatcheries to keep up with the two gateway production. One hatchery per gateway will keep him alive, ling to zealot. But unfortunately, with the terrain advantage that Mini can exploit, there's not much really doing against what Mini's setting up right now. He kind of has to transition into hydras or something. He's got a den on the way, but now Mini has way too many zealots. He could even maybe push in to the main base against that singular sunken. He won't do that just yet because of the speedlings. They can obviously wrap around and cause a nightmare for Mini. Mini's a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger on that. He knows how dangerous it is to push into the main base with those 7 zealots, even though it feels like he can right now. He probably shouldn't.
It would be really nice if Mini sent in the 1 zealot just to check and see if there's a layer. That cuts off so many different so many different options for the Zerg. If you can just see that there's no layer there, then you really know what you're dealing with. He's gonna come back up into the main, take another fight with these lings. Jaedong seems a little bit slow in his responses. He's macroing on the other side of the map, trying to make hydras or something. I think he'll just make only hydras over here, or maybe, okay, he's making a lot of lings actually. I think he'll kill that gateway. Just go kill the pylon.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought he should do. He should make like eight or so zerglings and go kill the pylon. That's exactly what he should do.
All right, well, he will be able to shut this down, it looks like. Having a hard time surrounding this zealot, though. That's in a very tight spot. Looks like he's gonna get the zealot at least at the end of the day. Can he actually get the pylon before these zealots come back to assist? There's the zealot going down. Pylon will fall. No more zealots for the time being. Jaedong is at least gonna cut off this production, but Mini's making a Corsair back at home. Corsair's gonna be on the way already, and he's got cannons in his main as well. I was kind of expecting him to just make hydras from this base over there on the center right and just start building up that hydras count and just break into the main base, but this is just really weird. He's making hydras in his main. What are those gonna do?
But he wants to break down the natural, I think. I think he wants to build up enough forces that he can flank from the east and then also kill this contain. Because he wants to deny any pylons from being set up in the center again. So I think he's going to be playing much more defensively and securing his own base rather than going on the counterattack. This Corsair will complicate things though, because it's going to supply block him. He has to kind of not make any overlords at this other base and only make them in his main to defend from the hydras in his main. And then go on, kind of try and skirmish with these zerglings on the periphery and deny an expansion going up for Mini. If he can deny an expansion from Mini for a long enough time, it won't matter. But the problem is that more and more cannons are being added on to the bottom of this ramp. I don't know how he's going to break out of this ramp cost efficiently. It's going to be so awkward.
Did Mini see the base over at the center right?
I don't think so, but he should assume
He's got to know it, yeah. He's got to know that there's a base somewhere. Here we go, diving on top with all of the Lings. That's a lot of Lings, guys, and the Hydras are adding on a lot of DPS. He's actually going to break through this. This is craziness. He breaks the final cannon. That's going to go down. The Corsairs try to move to kill some Overlords while this is happening, but he pulls back a couple of Hydras. Just enough Hydras to stop those Corsairs from getting kills, and he's going to come forward with these Hydras to actually kill the last Zealot and that probe. This is an incredible final game, Shun. What a wacky, wild way to end this series.
Wow, Lee Jae-dong really coming back into his own older form as the Terran Zerg. He's really dealt with this so efficiently. This comes down to just so many years of experience. He's played thousands of games in the practice houses years and years ago of similar situations to this. He's not as uncomfortable at dealing with this as most other Zergs would be. He's practiced so hard in the past in situations like this that he's got it mapped out a little bit. He's not too under pressure in these situations, and he somehow manages to navigate himself into a much more playable game state. Really impressive stuff from him.
He's gonna have to deal with this Reaver perfectly, though. The Reaver coming out is gonna be such a problem. Yeah, Reaver at the top of the ramp. You never break this ramp as the Zerg player. But as long as the Reaver's sitting here on the high ground, I think Jae-dong's going to be content. Coming down, slowly going to go for one shot. Does get a couple of Hydras there, forcing the retreat. Hydras could dive forward, but he will end up losing most of the Hydras if he tries to do so. More Hydras coming out. That third base is under threat. He pulls away from the third. I'm not a big fan of that. I thought he would come up here to the third to try and help defend. Here comes that Reaver dropping right on top. The shuttle is getting a little bit low, but there's just not enough massive units. Oh my God, massive hit there on a bunch of these drones, and he clears out that base so quickly. This is looking really bad for Jae-dong now after losing this base.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit surprised that Jae-dong didn't get his units over here to defend a little bit quicker. This is now problematic. He might still try and dive on this to save this. It's going to be tight, though. He's going to let it get really low on HP before he dives in. Maybe somehow with good splitting on the Hydras, he can mitigate some of the splash damage of those Scarabs, but still getting 2-for-1 trades. Oh, that's a massive detonation on that Scarab. That's pretty much GG now at this point. Mini has done it. Unfortunately, those Scarab connections were just too good, unfortunately, for our Terran Zerg to weather. He's going to try one last-ditch effort of pouncing back in here and saving his hatchery, but it's not going to be enough, unfortunately. Mini's an absolute god at the moment in dealing with these situations. I'm kind of blown away by this game, saying this is an absolute climactic game to end on.
Is he going to fly directly to these Hydras and lose his shuttle? No. That's the real only way that Jae-dong can make a comeback in this game. He's got to get insanely lucky with Mini just not paying attention to the shuttle, but he knows it. Mini knows that his only weakness is the shuttle at this moment. Gonna drop some Zealots and a Reaver here into the main base, start to harass this position. Jae-dong not the best on the response for the moment. He really needed to snipe that shuttle there, at least get some damage on it with those incoming Hydras. They were quite spread as they were arriving, but he wasn't able to do that. And now he's just sitting here making Hydras off of one base against a Reaver shuttle player. The writing is on the wall, and eventually I think Mini will take this one home, get some units on the low ground and take this natural, and there's really nothing that Jae-dong can do about it.
Yeah, he actually does kill that shuttle in the main base, so that's something, but yeah, one base Zerg versus one base Protoss is not a happy day for the Zerg in pretty much any game state. Now has 2 more shuttles coming to lay siege to Jae-dong and also restrict his ability to expand further. Also supply blocks right now, so can't even pump out much more for the time being. Does allow Mini to come right in here, although if he gets a snipe on some of these Reavers with perfectly spread Hydras, there's a way of making this work with really good spreading of his units. He can actually kill these Reavers, but the units have to be spread out up perfectly. Tries to dive in, gets one of the Reavers at least. Some good micro will save the rest of the Reavers from any further damage. There's just not enough meat on the bone for Jaedong to distract Mini long enough with and actually get some snipes on these key critical units. Unfortunately, he's going to be dried up here. And what a well-executed comeback from Mini. Like a very tempo-swingy game. Like for a second, it looked like an automatic loss for Jaedong. And somehow Jaedong turned into a great game state that then Mini once again came back and stole the win away from him right at the end. What a crazy week of KCM we've had, Sam.
And so Mini takes home the all-kill prize. And look at this beautiful graph we've got on screen with all players arriving at 4 points on week 4. I feel like I just opened up the documents and I found the proof of the Illuminati here. There's like the connections are being made in my brain, you know, that it's like everything is falling into place.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of synchronicity in the world right now. You'd have to be an absolute madman to deny it. Used to be the other way around. Usually you would be the madman for noticing the synchronicities. No. Society has been distracting you from the actual reality all along, and these synchronicities should now be taking center stage.
All jokes aside, though, this is an incredible season of KCM, an incredible comeback for the Protoss squad, able to steal away this week with that final 2 gateway play in the middle of the map. Mini clutching up for his squad, finally having a really good showing. And I don't know what else to say here, Shun. This is incredible. We're deadlocked at week 4. This is anybody's season, and it's going to be incredible, like just highly contested as we're going into the initial stages of SSL. Everybody's going to be locked in, and these guys are going to be as tight. Their games are going to be as tight can be going into week 5, 6, 7, 8. It's very exciting time here for KCM.
Oh, absolutely. And we've said it before, but with SSL just around the corner, I can't but imagine these guys are going to be playing out of their minds, both on screen and off screen, when you don't see them as well. I can't imagine how many hours of practice are being put in by some of these guys. Obviously, some of them will be taking it a little bit less seriously, a little bit over cocky, and maybe playing some League of Legends or whatever other garbage game on stream sometimes, but really, like, most of these guys are going to be cranking out way more practice games than usual in StarCraft for this coming tournament. That's so special and has taken a special place in all of our hearts for quite some time as we followed this scene, and this might be one of the most explosive tournaments we've had for a long time.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great season of the SSL, that is for sure. And like you said, the last season before Flash comes back, there's something special about that as well. We might have, you know, Larva coming back next season also. He's been dealing with some wrist issues and stuff, but I've seen him doing some practice on the ladder. There's Sue as well, honorable mention from StarCraft 2, who, yeah, he's just one of the best StarCraft 2 players of all time, and he's practicing Broodwar as well. There's a lot of stories going on in the SSL, and I can't wait to cover them all for you coming up here soon.
There's another guy alone who was true in StarCraft 2. I also played StarCraft 1 back in the day. So there's a lot of guys that are coming up to the challenge of meeting this tournament with great expectations. I'm sure there'll be a lot of broken hearts as well during this tournament, because a lot of people are going to give it their all. And you can see in the motions of the players when they show up to this tournament just how much it means to them. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I mean, True, just to mention, guys, True, he won this season of the SCS, which is the SOOP Challenge Series, which was formerly known as the ACS, the Africa TV Challenger Series, which is all the players who have never been in the ASL or SSL before. They're able to compete there, and whoever wins that tournament wins a big prize pool, and they get seeded into the SSL. So we're definitely going to see True in the group stages, which is insane. Really, really exciting stuff there. as well. I mean, a big story that comes to mind right now is Speed. He didn't have a great showing today, but he's just such an exciting player to watch, and I've been following him so closely, me personally. That guy, no matter what happens, it's going to be a crazy emotional roller coaster coming up in this SSL season.
Absolutely insane. I'm super looking forward to it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this week, and we'll be coming back very, very soon for more action. Please go over to the SOOP channel, SCVTVEN, and show some love and support there. Follow, throw some gems our way, whatever you need to do to show your support. We'd very much appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's essential that we get some support from the English-speaking community so that we have more support going forward from SOOP. And more access to great games such as these. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Tomorrow, actually, this is going to be coming out in the morning for you guys in North America. So go check it out no matter which day it is. Wednesday through, I guess it's going to be Wednesday through Sunday or Wednesday through Monday. We're going to be having the SOOP Duel Series. Oh my gosh, I'm getting mixed up here. I'll have to edit this. No matter which day it is, Wednesday through Sunday, guys, we're going to be having the SOOP Duel Series every single day at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Definitely go check it out. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.